Mike,
Jake.
it's St. Patrick's Day.
It is.
Are you wearing green?
I am actually. I have on a CI T-shirt,
There you go.
and our marketing people chose green as one of the colors, so no pinching today.
That's me. I've had quite the uh, knowledge dump this morning on St. Patrick's Day. So I wasn't wearing green. Kids pinched me. Then I got on a call. We have a great employee in Ireland, and uh, he so apparently the further you get from Belfast, the more people celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and in Belfast you do not celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And I had a anyway. If you happen to work with folks in Belfast, do not wish them a happy St. Patrick's Day. That's not how that works.
Really?
So anyway, there's my cultural faux pas for the day. Um, so yeah. Anyway, just so y'all know, that's how it goes. Okay. Before we get going here, it's good to learn, right? It's good
I
to learn.
guess you're
After we finish this, I will be doing some googling so that I can so that I know so that I know. All right. Before we get going, a couple of announcements. First, importantly, we've pushed back our panel on getting grant funding from the state and local cybersecurity grant program from the Infrastructure Act, which is IIJA. Right, that's what the act is. The reason for that is it's complex, and the information about how local folks can apply for the grants is not completely out, hasn't been released, and we want to make sure we have those facts, right?
right. In fact, the announcement of available funding has not yet occurred, right? So the state has not been advised by the federal government that there is now a pot of money for them to distribute. So the state may not be working yet on that process to develop. Here's how you justify your request. Here's how you apply. I will say that we're keeping in contact with the people that know how this is going to work, and when
Mm-hmm.
we know, we'll let all of you know as soon as we get, like Jake said, authoritative information. Then we'll run a panel and give everyone instructions on how to apply and get this
But
thing
it, but it,
rolling.
but to be clear, it is, Mike, pretty certain that everyone will need an assessment to uncover the areas that need attention, right?
Yeah, that's a given. Everyone will need some justification to make a request, right? You can't put your finger in the air and go, well, I
Mm-hmm.
think I need this. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have some kind of objective reasoning why you're asking for something. So having a third party perform an assessment against a control framework is the way.
Mm-hmm.
What's the new date for the panel?
It's the 26th of March, and I know you're hoping to have all the information we need by then. You know, so
Yeah, hoping.
hoping. All right. Um, Changing topics. The
Mm.
one we're here to talk about,
Oh,
and I
that.
have to say the news blast was very interesting this week, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
It's hard to go through all of this stuff in Russia, Ukraine without feeling a sense of foreboding, right?
I hate to say it, but it is what it is. It is true. There are volunteers hacking everything in Russia, and that has the potential to blow right back on us. That is true. Okay, so with that, let's get into the news of the week, huh?
Go for
Uh,
it.
yeah.
That's
So,
what people are here for,
well,
not to see
first,
your green shirt.
no. Let's talk about this anonymous and Ukrainian IT army and the Belarusian cyber partisans and every other patriotic association of people with skills. This week, many Russian government sites were hacked in a supply chain attack, which is a nice irony given that this is a technique the Russians and Chinese have used with a lot of success against us. Um, this week, over 90% of exposed Russian cloud databases were compromised. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
an underreported event because that is a big number. That is a lot. They left behind anti war, pro Ukrainian messages. Not sure if they destroyed data or not. They hacked into a Russian firm that runs a nuclear power plant. So no potential for mistakes there.
Nope, none. Nope,
Yeah.
everything's fine here. There's no Simpsons about that one.
Anonymous hacked the Russian media censoring agency and made their internal communications public. Wow. Um, And this campaign of getting the anti-propaganda messages into Russia can now claim more than, and this is a couple days old, so it's probably bigger than this now, more than 20 million messages sent. So they're reaching Russians.
20 million.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting the kind of reception people are getting from Russians. Some of the responses are profanity, some engaged in conversation, wanted to know about how to access information from outside the country, so that seems to be working, the added benefit of not having the potential to blow something up
Right.
that we know of.
Yeah, right.
Uh, so that's great, right? Let's give information. I hope people don't see it as, I mean, I guess don't see it as a different kind of misinformation, but you know,
I'm sure some do.
I'm sure some do, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not like it's not like we're in a pandemic with misinformation that, we can reflect on. There is great irony here.
Yes.
Um,
All over the place.
there is irony all over the place. So, Mike, what's happening with criminals and nation states looking like criminals this week? Save me from the irony of misinformation.
All right. Well, let's see. On the criminal side, it was reported this week that more than 30, I think they said 34, but it's more than 30 ransomware variants have been used in more than 700
Mm,
attacks in the fourth quarter of 2021. So that's an increase quarter over quarter and year over year, which is not a good trend, right?
no,
That's
no, no,
ticking
no.
way up. I mean, that's last year's stuff, and that doesn't, coincide with the actions in Ukraine, but, you know, that's ransomware theft ticking way up, extortion.
Yeah, I mean, and the Conti ransomware gang just had their command and control domains exposed by CISA, right? I mean,
Mhm.
didn't they publish something like 100 domain names that we can all block access to?
Yep. And so there's that. There was indicators, right? It was a bunch of domain names used for command and control, like you say. Other bulletins out this week too. One in particular about making sure that multi-factor authentication is implemented correctly, because there are ongoing campaigns that are compromising default multi-factor authentication setups, using that to enroll a new device for multi-factor authentication, and then exploiting the print nightmare bug, right, that everybody should have patched like months ago, to elevate privileges to admin and take over.
Yeah, I saw that one from the FBI this week. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, check that one out. Everybody, Google that up. And if you have default multi-factor authentication instances out there, get that cleaned up.
Hey, what was that about Nvidia? The hack being a national disaster
Oh
seems
yeah.
like a bit of a hyperbole. It seems like some hyperbole there, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's not that
national
bad.
disaster. Well, the focus of the article, about the national disaster part was the intellectual property that's been lifted from Nvidia. They're saying the Chinese did the deal, which is right on brand. And now they can escalate their own competition in the GPU market.
hmm
So,
hmm
but the bigger deal right now is that the perps lifted code signing certificates, and they're signing malware with a legitimate certificate.
Well, why can't Nvidia just revoke the certificates and nullify them?
Well, I'm sure they're working on that, right? If they do, a lot of older products are just going to stop working. I'm sure they're working on getting a fix to this problem. The serial numbers for the stolen certificates have been published, so Google up that article if you're an NVIDIA customer.
hmm
A lot of people are. So back to criminal activity and how that affects business. Just like you and I have discussed over and over, insurance companies are very afraid right now because they just saw Merck win a lawsuit against their insurer that didn't want to cover an act of war, right? That being the NotPetya attack. Combined with the war, so yes, you have to cover this because there was no war declared. You were not really a target of anything, right? Collateral damage doesn't count. So the insurance companies seeing what just happened, and then combined with all this nation state escalation going on right now, they are all rightly concerned.
Mm. Hey, a question in the chat here,
Yep.
which is the Ukraine IT Army.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the Russians infiltrate the Ukraine IT Army
Sure they
and
have.
use that and then use that information? I mean, is there like a Ukraine? I guess I don't know. Hey, Mike, is there a Ukraine IT Army chat somewhere where these 400,000 people are saying, "Yeah, let's do this"? Are they like
I'm
all on Reddit or something?
Yeah, it's got to be really partitioned, right? That's, if you're smart about how you conduct operations, you have partitioning so that the different operations are separate from one another and nobody knows everything that's going on. I'm sure there is a whole lot of vetting going on too. This is a good question. I'm sure there's a bunch of vetting going on, and you've seen, on TV these checkpoints because they're worried about saboteurs coming into their cities, right? To mess things up from within. I'm sure they're looking for saboteurs in, their IT army as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a really good question. And I'm sure the Russians are actually trying to do just that.
Of course they are. All right. So Mike, let's get to threats and vulns. It's going to be a busy day. What do you got?
Linux dirty pipe vulnerability. That one's in the news a lot right now. I think it affects all Linux distributions and a whole lot of other stuff besides, a Linux workstation has Linux built into it.
Hmm.
So, for example, a researcher has developed a proof of concept that was used to fully root a Pixel 6 phone and I think a Samsung S22. So, Android users, if you didn't know that's Linux under the hood, now you know. Get your phones updated. And in fact, mobile threats are reported to be going way up in general. There's also a Linux botnet. Um, it's building now, and it exploits remember our friend, the Log4j vulnerability that's everywhere to
That's
hijack.
your friend. That's not my friend.
Well, it's nobody's friend. ARM and x86 systems. So I think it's
Hmm.
mostly going after IoT. But this is a bad one because it can install a rootkit and hide. That's what a rootkit is for. Is
Hmm.
be stealthy.
Sure.
Um, web application compromise is also way up. And the article I read talks in some detail about how the stealth of the actors has improved. Their techniques have gone way up. So now we're back to, application security, coming back up to the top of the list is a thing you got to worry about most.
Hmm. Hmm.
Super.
Hey, and on that dirty pipe Linux problem, there's also a network storage device that's vulnerable.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is that a consumer device? Is that a business device? What is that?
So QNAP is the device. Apparently, they're all vulnerable. So I think that's mostly a consumer thing, but also some small and medium business.
Mm.
Remember too that the APC UPS systems are vulnerable. So if you could shut off, a UPS that runs your HVAC in your data center, all of a sudden everything melts. That's bad.
Mm. Hmm.
Chrome is being pummeled with 0 days, and Google is trying to explain this. There are vulnerable package managers, right? That's what you use to package up your product so it can be a downloadable package. The vulnerability there can result in arbitrary code execution, but you need a level of access and you have to be handling a already compromised package in the first place to get it to
Mm.
work. So I don't think that was such a big deal. Lastly, uh, OpenSSL has a problem that can cause an infinite loop and therefore a denial of service. So all that has been reported this week.
And as you mentioned, the Chrome thing, can't help thinking about Google jumping up and down and saying, "We take security seriously. We take security seriously," and buying a couple of security companies and saying, "We take security seriously." It's a lot of protesting, as Shakespeare
Well,
might say.
to paraphrase Mike Tyson, everybody takes security seriously until you get punched in the face.
There you go. All right. And on that note, it's time for the kicker, the thing that you have at the end that makes everyone smile. And I think you've only made people smile twice. What do you got?
I'm going to fail today for. I mean, nothing was funny this way.
Okay. What do you got?
So China made a big deal out of discovering, and I think Symantec helped them do this, but they made a big deal out of discovering an NSA hacking tool on their networks. Oh my God, the NSA is here. Look how sophisticated this is. They really made a splash about how they had sussed this thing out. Unfortunately, it was disclosed as part of the Shadow Brokers leak years ago. And now they have a bit of egg on their faces and look like they're not really keeping up with current events. So maybe they should be tuning in every week and watching here, because then they would have known the Shadow Brokers leaked that stuff a long time ago. That's the
Maybe
best I can do this week. Nothing is funny this week.
nothing is funny this week. Well, I feel like we're going to end this on a down note because I don't have anything funny either. I mean, it's kind of a bummer of international news between the new
Hmm.
COVID surges in other countries and yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, Mike. We need some funnier things next week. Can you work on that?
I will. It may not have anything to do with security or IT or anything like that, but I'll work on something funny.
Okay, good. We'll be back. All right,
Okay.
everybody. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye.